AI can create amazing websites, right? Well, it can create a website that looks amazing at the first glance, but when you actually dig deeper, you will find tons of security issues, bad SEO, bad accessibility, and you never get a website that's actually senior level and ready for production from the first try. You have to know exactly what you're doing, you have to write a very good prompt, you have to test and verify for yourself, and there will still be some hidden bugs that you won't find yourself. And to solve that, I have created a team of 25 agents. Each agent has one job and one thing to review. For example, we have a UI reviewer, UX reviewer, security, SEO, database, accessibility, architecture, and so much more. Each agent will do its job and analysis, and it will report back to the orchestrator. This orchestrator is responsible for reading all the reviews and taking the necessary actions. He is the one that makes all the coded changes, and then it will rerun all the review agents again. And this loop will continue until all the agents report that this website is ready for production. So let's take a look at some of these agents to better understand how they work. For example, if we take a look at the SEO reviewer, so it has a name, description, technical SEO reviewer that runs real tooling instead of eyeballing tags. So it doesn't just take a look at the HTML of the website, it uses the Lighthouse tool to see a detailed report of the SEO and the score of the website. It has a system prompt, you're a technical SEO engineer doing a review, you build a model of how a search engine reaches, fetches, renders, and ranks this page, and so on. Phase 0 is to learn the site before judge it. So first it tries to understand what this website is and what it does. It takes a look at the missing things like index.html, the rows and sitemap files. It then sends a request to the website URL and receives the raw HTML. It checks for the content that it received, if it's real content or just an empty div, because that content is what Google is going to use and display in the search results page. It takes a look at the hierarchy of the header tags and it checks if they are used correctly. And it also runs the Lighthouse tool, so NBX, Lighthouse, and the URL. This will allow it to read the core web vitals and ranking of the website. It checks for a ton of stuff. SEO is a big thing. So not only the header tags and robots file, it checks for all the tags, titles, relations. It checks for all the metas, indexes, all the tags like main, navigation, header, and footer, all the images, and it checks if every image has an alt or a description, and so much more as you can see here. And in the end, it outputs a markdown list, one line per finding, with the severity and confidence of each finding, which is then given to the orchestrator so that it can take the necessary actions. If we check, for example, the security reviewer, you are a staff level application security engineer and your standard is brutal. Basically, what this one does is that it takes a look at our front end and back end and it tries to find all the vulnerabilities. It tries to bypass our security. It tries to inject stuff into our endpoints, basically trying to hack our back end. So OS bypass, security headers and info leak, cores, XSS attacks, injection, broken access control, and a bunch of other stuff. And in the end, similar to our SEO reviewer, it outputs a markdown list with every issue that it found. If we check the UI reviewer, what this one does is that it runs the website and takes a look at the actual UI, so not just the code, but the actual UI, and it checks for a bunch of stuff, like is it generic or distinctive, like does it look AI with the purple gradient colors that we see everywhere, hierarchy, color depth, spacing, distinctiveness, and so much more. It checks for responsiveness, so it runs the website on different viewports and ensures that there are no overflowing issues or any responsive issues. And again, at the end, it outputs a markdown list. The orchestrator will read all of that. So if we check the orchestrator, first it plans with the human. So if you're building a new website, this one will plan with you what you want exactly. It builds the first draft, and when it builds that draft, it will trigger the review agents. So not all of them, like you don't need all of these agents. So for example, if your website is just a front end page, you don't need to run the database reviewer. Similar, if your website is only backend, you don't need the UI, UX reviewers. And once it runs the agents that it needs, it will get and iterate. So it will read the report of each agent, make the necessary code changes, and then rerun these agents again until we're good to go. This is the only one that's making the code changes. The reviewers don't change the code. And the reason for that is that we run all these agents in parallel and each one is separate. So they are not communicating with each other. If we let every agent change the code, it's going to get out of control. So normally when you take root code to build a website, it doesn't do all of that. It just builds a first draft that looks okay, but you have to review the website and you have to tell it to fix the issues that you found. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a new website, just a simple landing page for my agency, without any of these agents, without anything, just an empty folder. And then I'm going to run all of these agents against that website, and I'm going to see how many issues we're going to find. Okay, so right here, I have an empty folder, and I'm going to take a look to create a landing page for my agency. It should display the services that I sell, consultations, voice agents, automations, and AI systems. It should have contact form for potential clients to reach out to me. It needs to look nice and modern, use Next.js. Agency is called User AI. So that's like the average prompt that anyone would use to build a website. So let's see how it's going to perform.
One eternity later.
Okay, it is done. So let's see how it looks. I'm going to run the server. Okay, so that's actually looking nice, better than I expected. I like the colors, but I think they are a bit too bright, and I like how it added the name in the background here. The mobile, this could have used a drop-down animation instead of just popping out. So when I reload, I'm getting some issues here. I think this is because of a browser extension. I'm not sure why we have this. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run all my review agents, or not all of them, the relevant ones, against this website. Okay, so I just pasted in all the agents here, and now I'm going to say run the relevant review agents and make a report with all the issues found. The report should look nice and easy to read. Fix the issues and iterate until the website is ready to release. So basically the agents are inside my .code folder here. So we have all the agents here, and I told it to run the relevant agents only because we might not need all the agents. So let's see. And now it's running all the agents in parallel.
One eternity later.
Okay, so we have our report ready, and now it's doing the fixes. So while it's doing that, let's take a look at the report. Okay, so we have 3 blockers, so we can't ship this website before fixing these blocker issues. 11 high, 12 medium. Okay, so let's take a look. Leads go nowhere, but the ISs will be in touch. So the contact us form doesn't send the leads anywhere. The whole page disappears without JavaScript, so if you have JavaScript disabled on your browser, the entire website will disappear, and instead it should display like a basic HTML skeleton. A failed submit shows a white application error screen, so obviously these need to be fixed. Metadatabase srai.example.com, so that's for SEO. It just shows a placeholder domain. Input field is named website browser/password manager autofill it, tripping the trap and silently dropping real leads. So that's another issue in the contact form. 0 security headers. Public server action has no rate limiting, so any bot could keep spamming our contact form. Notice that this is just a simple landing page, like it's literally one page, and it found all these issues. Imagine if this was like a big dashboard or a real website or something. This list will go way bigger. So I'm gonna wait for it to fix all these issues, and we'll be back. Okay, so now everything is done. Basically what it did is that it ran 19 reviewers. It found a bunch of issues as we found. It fixed and verified these issues, so all the blocker ones are now fixed, and the high ones as well. It also fixed some ES and SEO issues. It verified everything, and now it's the only thing missing, which I forgot, which is to provide an email service so I can receive an email when someone submits the contact form. So I'm just going to give it my recent API key to use it in the contact form. Okay, so that is also done. I'm going to run the website now, and it's going to look pretty much the same. Because most of the issues were not in the UI itself. We take a look here, the issues were leads go nowhere, the whole page disappears without JavaScript, and the field attempt shows a white page. So let's test the lead form. I'm going to submit this. Okay. Okay, I'm going to check my email, and yep, I just got an email with the exact data that I filled in the form. Notice that this website already came out good because I've been using my CRUD account for a long time, and there are already lots of instructions baked into the memory. But I've had websites that are way worse than this using the exact same prompt. That's why I said when I saw this website, I said it's better than I expected, because I got way worse websites that had way more issues than this. But if you're starting with a new account, I'm pretty sure you're not going to get such results from the first try. And so something like this will come in handy. So as always, I'm going to leave the code for this in the description so you can download it and play around with it. And basically this is like the empty template where it only has the agents. It doesn't have any website or anything. So basically you clone this and you build your website inside of this. And this will actually use the orchestrator to help you get a better website from the get-go. So feel free to play around with it. Now keep in mind that this consumes a lot of tokens. So if you have the basic $20 account, it's gonna burn all your tokens pretty quickly. So only use this if you really need it for a big project or a real client project. Or you can only tell it to use specific agents that you really need. So yeah, let me know how you think, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment down below.